Well, that Circuit America race is one of the wackiest and wild races I have ever seen. Holy crap, that race was a lot crazier than I thought it was going to be. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the Texas Grand Prix from Circuit America, the 14th race of the NASCAR Cup Series season. And that race, we've got a lot to talk about today on the episode. But so before the green flag even dropped in this race, a ton of drivers actually had to drop to the rear of the field even before the green flag dropped. Drivers like Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, James Davison, 10 drivers would have to drop to the rear of the field for fixing power steering issues and qualifying for unapproved adjustments on the cars. A quarter of the field would have to go to the rear due to changes. And then meanwhile, on the pace laps as well, Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski would also have to go to the rear during the tire changes because they removed tape on the grill. So also what was going on is it wasn't really raining. It was starting to rain at the beginning of the race, but it really wasn't that heavy and the track wasn't that wet at the time. So a lot of teams decided to put the slick tires on, while a few others actually decided to only keep the rain tires on. In my honest opinion, all the teams that put the slick tires on, I thought they should not have done that, to be perfectly honest with you. They should have kept the rain tires on. There was only like 5 teams decided to keep the rain tires on. Truex, Bubba Wallace's teams, both J.T. Doherty cars and Michael McDowell kept the rain tires on, and it really paid off for them, at least early in the run, because they were up front and they had those tires. Meanwhile, that basically all the other cars would have to come down pit road in a few laps to basically take that. And Austin Cindric actually was able to get race lead early, and he was putting up a really, really strong run early. Even on slick tires, when the tires aren't as good for the slick ones on the rain track, of course, he was doing an incredible job and was putting down some really fast laps, even pulling away from guys like Bubba Wallace and Martin Truex Jr. early in the run. And that would basically, he would actually lead, and then he would come down pit road for a few or later, and then Martin Truex Jr. actually would end up assuming the race lead along with Bubba Wallace and Michael McDowell pretty much right behind him. And Michael McDowell was actually catching Martin Truex Jr. for the race lead. But the first caution of this race will come off about on lap number 8 of the race for a situation for Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez was stalled coming off, I think it was turn 13 if I'm not mistaken. He was stalled coming off of turn number 13, and unfortunately he would fall out of contention race. He would not fall out of the race completely because it was a mechanical problem. He can go back down behind the garage and fix the issues. But this would unfortunately take him out of contention. He was running in 23rd at the time when this happened, and unfortunately this would end up taking him out of contention of this race early in the run. We then go back racing on lap 10. A lot of guys decided to come down pit road at a time. Guys like Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece, a lot of the contenders up front decided to come down pit road. Meanwhile, Michael McDowell and Bubba Wallace, who were up front at the time, decided to stay out on pit road. And then a very, very good move by Joe Logano. He's actually able to get the race lead from Michael McDowell. And then actually there were some issues that started happening as well. You basically had Garrett Smithley having issues off of turn number 1, then Corey LaJoie spin, among other things that happened. And then on the final last couple laps of stage number 1, you had an incident between Matt DiBenedetto and William Byron. I think it was Matty D who locked up the tires a little bit, and they both ended up having quite a bit of damage, and Brad Keselowski also spun on that lap as well. And then you had some other incidents that happened. But coming off the final corner in stage number 1, Joe Logano, who played a strategy pretty good early, except coming out the road early, he would come off the final corner and win stage 1 of the race. And the guys that did not pit under that last caution, they decided to come down the road to get those tires early in the race. We then go back racing at lap number 19 of the race, and there was a lot of things that basically started happening at time. Ryan Newman started spinning. Of course, visibility basically became a major issue at the time. And then the big one, unfortunately, struck on lap 20 race, the second lap of stage 2. Ryan Blaney basically got a tire go down from some contact early in the run. Then Christopher Bell, he ran into the back of him. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick, he actually basically checked up, and Bubba Wallace drove straight into him. And unfortunately, Kevin Harvick, Bubba Wallace, and Christopher Bell followed the race. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney would continue in this race. It's really unfortunate. Visibility was the main problem. I know a lot of people, unfortunately, were going to blame Bubba Wallace for running into the back, saying that Bubba Wallace was the problem for that. When visibility is an issue and you can't really see, that was a big issue. Kevin Harvick was not very happy in his post-race interview. He basically said that that's the most dangerous thing he's done. He said that at the Bristol Dirt Race, by the way, but he said that's the most dangerous thing he had basically done at the time, which is really unfortunate because Bubba Wallace having a decent run, even though he kind of fell back of strategy, of course. Really nothing you can do there when that happens. A lot of guys decided to come down pit road as well. And then eventually there was another massive incident that happened a few laps later on that ensuing race. So you guys like Ross Chastain and Ryan Preece, who played a strategy game as well. They actually would end up getting a race lead. Ross Chastain and Ryan Preece had really good days going forward. And then on lap 25, visibility continued to be a massive issue in the race. Basically, Mark Truex Jr. got into the back of Michael McDowell because he really couldn't see, and he got a lot of damage on the front of his car. And Cole Custer just jacked up, straight ran into the back of him. Massive, massive wreck. Cole Custer nearly hit the inside wall. I believe it was on turn 11 or turn 12 of the track. That was really, really, really bad. And then NASCAR made the conscious decision after that wreck to decide to red flag the cars, red flag the race, basically bring the cars, stop the cars on the track, and dry the area of 11 and 12. I think they honestly made the right call right there to do that just because of the incident. It was really, really bad wreck. I'm glad both drivers are okay. Mark Truex Jr. was also not happy. He wasn't as blatant as Kevin Harvick was in his post-race interview, but Mark Truex Jr. was not very happy. And then NASCAR also decided to make a decision at that time, at the point with Kyle Busch, of course, being the leader at that point of the race. They basically made the decision, to go to single file restarts. I think they obviously made the right call right there to do that, considering I know that a lot of people thought that was going to cause a lot of the tire issues to be more issues to happen, but it really didn't. It actually kept it racing. And coming back to the restart, and it actually would be a lot of good racing that happened throughout the field. A lot of drivers had issues, and then a few laps into the run, Quinalf had some contact from Kyle Tilley. Quinalf would get a ton of damage. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. also would get a ton of damage as well. But coming off the final corner, Kyle Busch hold off guys like Kyle Larson for the end of the stage, and Austin Cindric, of course, and Kyle Busch would win stage number 2 of this race. So we go back on lap 36 race with Kyle Busch being a race leader. A lot of guys came down pit road, of course, and Chase Elliott would also restart on the front row as well. And then there was some payback between, it looked like, Quinalf and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Quinalf might have locked up the tires going to turn number 2 a few laps into the run, but they would have some issues. And then a few laps later as well, Tyler Reddick, who was running really, really strong in the race, he actually would spin from around 6th position coming off the final corner, but he backed it up into a slide and standing to that little trap over there, which I thought was really, really good. And then Kyle Busch actually would come down pit road with around technically around 5 or 6 laps going to race before they basically called the race. And Chase Elliott also would come down pit road. And there was a massive, massive concern at this time because, of course, Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott, they pitted. They were not going to be able to make it on field. They were, unfortunately, around 2 laps short of making it on field of this race. Meanwhile, he had all the other guys that stayed out at the time. They kept going, and Kyle Larson actually would assume the race lead. He was running up front a lot of the day. He actually would assume the race lead, and then he would come down pit road, and the lead would end up going over to Ross Chastain, who a few laps later, he would come down pit road, and then basically the final passes would happen. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott put on a very, very awesome battle on lap 50 of the race, near the end of the race, and Alex Bowman had to come in for fuel, and Chase Elliott would assume the race lead of this race. And then Kyle Busch, a few laps later, he would come down pit road to get fuel on the car, and then a lot of starts started happening. We're starting to get really, really bad again with the visibility issues, of course. Kurt Busch basically almost got into Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch, but he drove it straight and almost hit the wall really, really hard. But his talent, of course, being a champion in 2004, he was able to save it and kept going. That was really, really, really funny to watch. And then Austin Cindric was spinning that because of visibility problems, NASCAR would bring the cars down pit road. Now, there was a very, very heavy cell that was hitting the racetrack at the time, and a lot of people thought that they were basically going to call the race, including myself, and they would actually end up calling the race. Chase Elliott would hold on and get his first win in 2021 as they called the race. He would get his first win in 2020, becoming the last driver at Hendrick Motorsports to win. This is the first time that Hendrick Motorsports has had all 4 of their drivers go to victory lane since 2014. And this is the 800th career win for Chevy. And now they are tied for Richard Petty Motorsports on winning the most races as an organization of all time. Chase Elliott, man, did not have the best car overall in the race, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think that he was right there in position. I know a lot of people are not happy with this, especially since a lot of people think it's going to rig since they called it for Chase Elliott, but they would not have called it. I honestly think they made the right call right there. Yes, of course, I am a Chase Elliott fan, but I think they overall made the right call right there at the end of the race, especially since what happened earlier in the race, the incidents between Cole Custer and Mark Truex Jr. Did you really want a repeat of that? I don't think we really wanted a repeat of that, to be honest with you. So Chase Elliott wins his first race of the year. I picked him to win coming in that he did not have the best car overall in the day, but he was able to come across the line and win today's race. So let's go ahead and go through and talk about the results of today's race. So Chase Elliott locks up a spot in the playoffs, becoming the 11th driver to win this year. He wins today's race here at Circuit Americas. Kyle Larson, once again, for the 3rd straight week, finishes runner-up. God dang it. I just want Kyle Larson to win a race so bad. He's been so close to winning so many races. If the race would have gone green a little bit longer, Kyle Larson would have been the one that won the race today. But once again, another very solid run for Kyle Larson. Gets another solid top 5. Another one's coming for Kyle Larson. He's got too much running coming into these upcoming weekends. He's got a lot of good tracks coming up. Another top 5 for Kyle Larson today. Joey Logano had a very strong top 5 run, got a stage win today. Great run for Joey Logano today. Ross Chastain finished 4th. Ross Chastain, in my opinion, was really a star of the show of this race today. He looked like for a lot of this race, he had the best car in the field. No joke. He was really, really fast, was pulling away. He had a very, very strong car. This is the best race that Ross Chastain has had since joining Chip Ganassi this year. He did a very, very excellent job, and he gets another solid top 5. Great run for him today. Another top 5 for the Collard Racing car. AJ Allmendinger finished his 5th in today's race. Very solid run for AJ today. Chase Briscoe, another top 10 run. He's been picking up a little bit recently. Another solid top 10 run for Chase Briscoe. Great run for him today. Michael McDowell has now got the most top 10s I think he's ever had in NASCAR Cup Series season with his 5th top 10 of the year. He finished 7th today. Despite having damage on the car from the incident between him, Truex, and Custer, he gets a 7th place finish today. Solid run for Michael McDowell. Alex Bowman with another top 10 run. Solid run for Alex Bowman today. He was really about a 14th or 15th place car most today, but strategy kind of helped him out. He finished his 8th in today's race. Tyler Reddick finished his 9th, another top 10 run. Will definitely help him in the playoffs with some of the drivers who are close to that playoff bubble having trouble in today's race. He finishes a nice solid run for him. And Kyle Busch finished his 10th in today's race. I actually think Kyle Busch obviously probably had arguably one of the best cars in the field today, but because of the pit strategy and them not having enough gas, he had to come down pit road. But he gets another top 10 run in today's race. William Byron finished his 11th. This is the first time William Byron has finished outside the top 10 in 11 races since the 2nd race of the year, which is really, really unfortunate because William Byron had absolutely a decent run going. He got some damage early in the race. He was really, really fast in the practice sessions, but this is the first time. But hey, he's done really, really good this year. 11th place is not bad overall, but this ends his top 10 streak here today. Austin Dillon gets 12th place, solid run for him today. Chris Buescher finishes 13th. Denny Hamlin finishes 14th. Denny Hamlin had a very, very, very crazy day today. There was a lot of wrecks that happened between him. He spun a lot in this race, but he recovers to a top 15 run, all things considered. Ryan Preece finished his 15th. He was in the top 10 quite a bit of today's race. He gets 15th, solid run for him today. Eric Jones finished his 16th. 17th goes to Ryan Blaney after having some damage. He finished 17th. Anthony Alfredo with a solid top 20 run finishes 18th in today's race. Brad Keselowski finished his 19th. Corey LaJoie finishes 20th in today's race. Ty Dillon finishes 21st. 22nd for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 23rd place finish for Matt DiBenedetto. He was running in top 10 early, but the damage kind of unfortunately affected him in the race. Ryan Newman finishes 24th. Austin Center finished 25th. Austin Center looked like he was going to be the class of the field today early in the run, but unfortunately, he got some spins early in the race, and unfortunately kind of fell back, and the tires fell off later in the run, and he finished 25th. Eric Almirola, another very bad run, finishes 26th in today's race. Not a great run for him. Kurt Busch, 27th. Wasn't really a showing of how good he was until the end. He was really, really up front early. Unfortunately, kind of fell back after the incident late in the run. He finishes 27th. Garrett Smithley finishes 28th. James Davison finishes 29th. Josh Blakey finishes 30th in today's race. Kyle Tilley finishes 31st in his NASCAR Cup Series debut. Cody Ware finishes 32nd. Daniel Suarez bounces back a little bit to finish 33rd. 34th place finish for Quinn Houff. 35th place finish for Mark Truex Jr., who I thought was going to be a contender again. He got involved in that incident. Cole Custer, after the accident with Mark Truex Jr., finishes 36th. Kevin Hart finishes 37th. 38th for Christian Bell. 39th for Bubba Wallace, who again, Bubba Wallace is running in the top 5 early in the run, but unfortunately after getting involved in the incident with the incident happening with Blaney, of course, that unfortunately took him out, which is really, really unfortunate. He finishes 39th in today's race. And Justin Haley finishes last in 40th place in today's race. So now, now I'm going to talk about the race a little bit, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of things I do have to say about this race. Now, I saw a lot of people today saying that we should not come back to Circuit of the Americas again after today's race. I totally disagree. I think that we should come back here in this year. I'm not saying the race is absolutely great. I think that this race absolutely could have been better. But that's no blaming, by the way, on the racing, to be honest with you. When it wasn't as crazy and there was no visibility problems on the track, the racing was really, really solid, in my opinion. And we saw a really good race, especially early in the run. Again, the middle portion was a little bit chaotic and a little bit wild. There was a little bit too much going on in the race. I do also want to say something about the conditions when it comes to safety, when it comes to rain racing. I love rain racing, for the record. We saw really awesome racing. Look back at the Truck Series race earlier this weekend. The race at the Truck Series was absolutely really, really good. It's just that one thing I do want to say is that when you cannot see anything out on the racetrack and there's zero visibility, you shouldn't be racing out there. I think that's why NASCAR made the call to red flag the race, and eventually after all the wrecks and stuff and after all the craziness and chaos in the middle, I think they should have called it right away after the Bubba Wallace wreck. I don't know why they didn't decide to red flag it, to be honest with you. I'm glad they made the right call, though, there at the end, but they should have made that call early in the run. Again, like I said, you can have rain racing. It's not an issue for me, and I think a lot of people need to calm down a little bit, because just because there was a lot of wrecks and a lot of chaos and safety, of course, does not mean a race we don't need to come back here next year. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to say. That being said, though, I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with the call at the end. It is what it is, and we move on from that. But man, Hedger Motorsports, their 5th win of the year. They now have the most win, tied for the most wins of the year. This is now their 2nd straight win as well. Hedger Motorsports, I think, is going to start taking it to the top. I don't think they had the best cars in the field throughout the race. I think Chase Elliott got a little bit lucky, to be honest with you, with a rain call. But he was up there a lot of the day. He didn't have the best car. But yeah, Chase Elliott wins today's race. So next week, we're going to, I believe we're going to Charlotte Motor Speedway with full capacity as well. Really excited about that. We also got practice qualifying coming back as well. But my score for today's race at Circuit Americas, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I had a really hard time scoring the race. I know that a lot of people are going to hate this race. I would not put this in my top 10, even my top 5 or top 6 races of the year so far. I put it kind of in the lower tier just because some of the judging calls NASCAR made. But I definitely think we should come back here next year. I think that next year with the next-gen car, I think the rain racing will be better. I also think one thing NASCAR does need to do going forward is they do need to have better procedural. The brake lights they have on the cars, though, they've got to be better. Those red blinking lights have to be larger so the drivers can see. That's another thing I think they need to go for. But I have no problem with it. I mean, yes, the procedural issues were a big thing, but I think that we should definitely come back here next year at Circuit of the Americas. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's race review from Circuit of the Americas. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications so you'll be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Links are below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Chase Elliott on winning his first race of the 2021 season. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.